Angela Rayner also decided to take her friend. The media keeps calling this guy her friend, Sam Tarry. Remember him? He was the Labour MP, too much to the far left, so he was deselected at the last election. Him and Angela Rayner are having a romantic relationship, or at least were. Let's just be honest about that. They're not friends, they were lovers. Now, look, if you thought Scrounger, Starmer and Victoria Sponger were bad, in fact, this weekend showed it was just the beginning of the sleaze and the cronyism, which is actually permeating through this entire new Labour government. But what I have found astonishing is that the people in the mainstream media and the celebrities that support Labour, who were the most vociferous when it came to criticism of Boris Johnson for every tiny little thing, are now trying to say, nothing to see here, folks. Gary Neville at the Labour Party conference is the greatest example. Watch.
Absolutely incredible that this level of attention is now being paid to a Labour Prime Minister. When I look at the absolute cronyism that we watched for years under that, they were just let go. I'm sorry for the rant, but absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely incredible.
Oh, just ridiculous. And there you saw Lisa Nandy, the culture secretary, nodding along. She's one of those ones that got a free ticket to Taylor Swift. What about Angela Rayner, though? Do you remember her working class horror at Boris trying to raise money from donors in order to renovate Downing Street? In one rant on X, she wrote, who do you think you are, Boris Johnson, telling working class people to rely on their own efforts when you go around with a begging bowl to Tory donors to pay for your posh new wallpaper and moan that you can't live off your 150k salary? Disgusting. Then there was another. Do you remember this? This was on the 5th of February 2021, where she wrote, instead of spending taxpayers' money on more photographers for the sake of his own vanity, the PM should prioritise feeding the children who will go hungry in half term next week and families facing 1,000 cuts to universal credit. Oh, Angela, front page of the Daily Mail today, revealing that she is enhancing her profile at the expense of the taxpayer with a new £68,000 vanity photographer. And not only that, Angela Rayner also decided to take her friend. The media keeps calling this guy her friend, Sam Tarry. Remember him? He was the Labour MP, too much to the far left, so he was deselected at the last election. Him and Angela Rayner are having a romantic relationship, or at least were. Let's just be honest about that. They're not friends, they were lovers. And these lovers decided that rather than spend their own money from their very handsome MP salaries, they would stay over the new year in a New York apartment with massive views of Central Park and a gym and a swimming pool and a roof terrace, all paid for by the Labour billionaire donor Lord Alli. But when Angela Rayner was questioned about that hypocrisy at the weekend, do you think she admitted that she had done anything wrong? Of course not.
Did you break the rules?
Well, first of all, I didn't go to New York with another person. That person went to New York and I met up with them, and I met up with a number of friends while I was in New York. It was a personal holiday and I think I followed the rules. In fact, I went above that and I wanted to do that to be transparent about the connection that I had of the use of that apartment.
But they stayed in that apartment. Sam Tarry, who used to be a Labour MP, stayed in that apartment and you didn't declare it. Did you break the rules?
I don't believe I broke any rules. I had the use of the apartment and I disclosed that I had the use of the apartment. In fact, I think I was overly transparent because I think it was important, despite it being a personal holiday, because that person, as a friend, had already donated to me in the past for my deputy leadership.
So you're not sorry for
doing
that? You're not sorry for that? You're not saying to people this morning, you know what, maybe that was a misjudgment. Maybe I should have declared absolutely everything, because the rules, I'll just read that to our viewers. Members should register in this category any visit, whether accompanying the member or not. It says pretty clearly, if someone else is with you, you're meant to declare it, and you didn't.
It says if you're on parliamentary business or...
I mean, Henry Bolton, come on. come on. And that's just the beginning, isn't it? She was getting her clothes paid for as well.
Yeah. And she's not the only one, and Starmer's not the only one. Rachel Reeves is there's a whole raft of them. But there are four things that I think are shocking about this. The degree of hypocrisy, as you quite rightly pointed out, the lack of political acumen. They clearly seem to think that people wouldn't mind this, and I think one of them was it Angela Rayner, who I'm not sure, who said that people would probably just think that it was fair enough. No, that was Starmer, I think.
Fair dues, he said. Fair dues.
I mean, come on. Then there are the two excuses. There's one excuse that you heard there from Angela Rayner. Well, I followed the rules. Look, you can follow the rules. It's still not right. And then there is, yes, but the Conservatives were doing it. I don't care. Look, nobody in this country, honestly, I believe, thinks that it's okay to be taking these freebies for getting your suits bought, your glasses bought, your holidays paid for, and so on, when you're cutting the winter fuel allowance from 10 million pensioners, when you've been talking about, I think they're rowing back on that now, axing the single person's council tax thing, all of the taxes that are coming, and they're just on the take. There is probably not one person who genuinely in this country believes that is sensible, that it is politically wise, or that it's morally correct. And it infuriates me. And I wouldn't be surprised that in 2029, if not before, the Labour government loses, or the Labour Party loses the next election because of this, because they have demonstrated that they're dishonest, immoral, lack integrity, and are hypocritical, and self-serving. And that doesn't sit well with the British people, no matter how passive we often are.
The beginning of the end. And in fact, I don't even think Angela Rayner was the worst one, because Bridget Phillipson, the education secretary, got Lord Alli to pay, wait for it, for her 40th birthday party. So Chloe, I'll get you to react in just a moment, but first, this is how she tried to justify it on Sly News.
What for exactly?
Yep. So I received that money from Lord Alli, who's a long-standing Labour peer. It was used to fund two events, all of which was declared properly and thoroughly. That's why that information is in the public domain. The first event was ahead of my birthday, so I was turning 40. I thought it was a good opportunity to get people together in a professional context. So it was journalists, trade unionists, education people, MPs and shadow cabinet. The second event was an event that I held also again for lobby journalists, for people in the education world, as part of a reception. That's, it was in a work context,
That's a very nice thing, but if a Tory had done that 2 years ago, I know exactly what you'd be saying to me this morning. They should pay for their own birthday parties.
Look, this was in a work context.
What for exactly?
I mean, come on, Chloe, you can't have a 40th birthday in a work context, can you? But first, everyday subtle changes occur in our bodies, often going unnoticed. It's called inflammagene, a chronic low-grade inflammation that deteriorates our health as we get older. It's more than just a sign of aging, it's a key contributor to health issues like cardiovascular diseases, dementia and depression, and physical decline. It continuously weakens the body's resilience, turning minor infections severe and impacting mental health and cognitive function. Inflammagene significantly diminishes both quality of life and independence. Proper diet, exercise, and sleep can only get you so far. So that is why I take Clean Bean by Verso. It contains ingredients targeted to fight off and help prevent inflammagene. Research shows that these ingredients clean out damaged cells in the body that affect healthy cells, reduce inflammation, protect against oxidative stress, and improve conditions like cardiovascular diseases and neurological disorders. After taking Clean Bean for some time, I've noticed less joint pain, increased energy, better mood, and clearer skin. I can think better, I don't get as sick as before, and these are all benefits actually of reducing inflammation. Plus, Verso ensures transparency and quality by publishing third-party testing results for each batch they produce, so you know you're getting exactly what you paid for. Now, you can click the description in our YouTube or Rumble show notes, or head on over to www.ver.so and use the coupon code Outspoken at checkout to save 15% on your first order. So to repeat, that's buy.ver.so/outspoken. Use the coupon code Outspoken.
No, I mean, she is just so clearly lying through her teeth. Nobody is buying it. And I mean, the hypocrisy is just unreal. I mean, Labour, they haven't exactly had any honeymoon whatsoever, have they?
They don't deserve one.
No, they don't deserve one at all. And I think this is really, really going to infuriate the British public, because Labour, you know, they were on the back bench, well, on the opposition benches for so many years, pointing the finger at the Tories and saying, you know, we're on our moral high horse. We'd never do such a thing. We'd take care of you guys. We wouldn't do all this Tory sleaze. You know, you can take the word Tory off sleaze now. They're all at it. They're all the same. You know, people have been met with the hard reality that both parties, Labour and the Conservatives, they don't really care about you that much. They are self-serving, and they're all the same. That Labour promised us that they were the party of change, that they were going to be different. They were going to bring trust back to politics. But nothing's changed at all, has it?
No, it really hasn't.
Dan, if I may, there's another issue here. And it's not just about the members of Parliament themselves. It's also about Lord Alli. Because, you know, I know I was a party leader, and I think UKIP was probably the fourth largest party in membership in the country at the time. And donors, not always, but generally expect some sort of return on their investment, and that's how they see it. Sometimes it's just that they support the party and its ethos and its policies, but sometimes they actually want to influence policy at certain points in time, and they will remind you. I was reminded by donors that way before I became leader, they had donated money to X, Y, and Z in the party, and therefore I should be sympathetic to what they thought should happen. Well, Lord Alli has he's a member of the House of Lords, so he's in the Assembly, in the National Assembly, but he has effectively bought his way into government. He's been attending government meetings in Downing Street. Now, that, to my mind, is corruption. It's not just because it's looking bad.
He's a TV executive. Exactly. That is such a good point, Henry, because he is a TV executive. He is not a political mastermind. He is there for one reason and one reason only, and it's the big bucks, and it stinks. But do you know what also stinks? The fact that the mainstream media is allowed to get away with things with this Labour government that when I was at GB News, we were hauled over the coals for. And I found just one example of it, which I think is totally indicative over the weekend. So Aisha Hazarika, she is a Labour peer in the House of Lords. This was just part of the most sick-inducing, over-the-top, sycophantic, lovey interview with Lisa Nandy, the Culture Secretary, on Times Radio over the weekend. Now, how on earth is this allowed? How on earth is this allowed, given the position that has been taken about GB News politicians interviewing Conservative politicians? Watch this.
Well, that's my best freebie. Spending time with you, Aisha. There you go. I've made up for it.
Oh, actually, I can give you a freebie here. I can present to you a very special thing.
I can't take that.
It's a Times Radio cap that says "Thinking Cap." We can give you this freebie. It's all declared. It's all in the public domain.
Oh God.
What's your favourite band or singer?
Britney, obviously.
What's your favourite Britney song?
Toxic. It's the most
very good.
Perfect piece of pop music ever written.
Can you do karaoke to?
I am doing the Labour Students Disco DJ set, and it is back to back Britney, so don't miss it.
It's Britney hour. It's Britney, bitch.
I mean, Chloe, come on. How is that allowed?
I don't know. I mean, what was the lady interviewing her? Was that also a previous Labour MP? Is that where the issue is?
No,
here?
she's a Labour peer. She's a Labour peer in the House of Lords, Aisha Hazarika. So she is a Labour politician. sort of masquerading as a journalist. Now, when this was done on GB News, for example, when Esther McVey and Philip Davies interviewed the Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, they were found in breach by the off-communists. Now, personally, I don't think the off-communists should exist, and Times Radio should be able to broadcast whatever they want. But that isn't the regulatory system we live in, and so it feels like there is one rule for the right of politics and another for the left.
If the rules are going to be there, as much as I disagree with them being there, it better be applied evenly to everyone. I mean, we've just seen this report coming out finally saying that the BBC, they breached guidelines, I think, 1,500 times when it comes to the Israel-Hamas war. But it's taken that long for us to see that, right? They were able to get away with this stuff for ages and ages and ages, with the off-communists doing absolutely nothing about it. Whereas an outlet like GB News, one little step out of line and they are all over them trying to take them down. I mean, it's genuinely a miracle that the channel still exists, given how hard the off-communists have gone against them.
So we have to laugh, don't we, sometimes at this madness.
Sometimes better to laugh than cry.
Well, I've got something to make you laugh. I actually think this woman is absolutely brilliant. She is the comedian who has finally nailed Angela Rayner, and what a perfect weekend to do so. Watch this.
It's Deputy Prime Minister, proud Northerner and basic instinct enthusiast, Angela Rayner, and welcome to another No-Brainer with Angela Rayner. Now, I wouldn't normally do more than one no-brainer in a week, but this week is a little bit different because our Keir has come under fire from the British press, and I feel as though I have got to say something because it is not on. It is bang out of order what is going on right now. So the British press have printed stories about our Keir and they're calling him names. There's a lot of misinformation and they're calling him names like Free Gear Keir. Free Gear Keir! Who doesn't get freebies in Westminster? Everybody gets freebies. So long as you declare it and it's all above board, there's nothing wrong with it. Everybody does it, right? So I don't see why the press are coming down so hard.
I have a feeling that woman is going to have a hell of a lot of material. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please do subscribe if you want lots more clips and interviews like that. Plus, if you want to watch our totally uncensored after show, then visit www.outspoken.live.